Squanto was born to Wampanoag Indians in the village of Pawtucket in what we now call Massachusetts. Young Squanto helped the men of his village hunt deer, beaver, and wild turkey. He liked fishing, too. One day, when Squanto was a young man, he met some Englishmen who had sailed across the Atlantic Ocean. Captain Hunt and his men pretended to be friendly to Squanto and his friends at first, but all of a sudden, Captain Hunt's friendliness was gone, and Squanto's hands were tied up. They were on their way across the Atlantic to Spain. When they landed, Captain Hunt pushed Squanto to the place where slaves were sold. Fortunately for Squanto, some kind Christian monks fought him. The monks were good to Squanto. They helped him learn their language, Spanish, and they taught him about God. They knew that Squanto had been treated badly, but they explained to him that God loved him and could take his suffering and use it for something wonderful later in life. The monks knew that Squanto wanted to get back to America, so they arranged for him to go to England first. Squanto lived in London, England for a few years and learned English. Finally, in the year 1618, a ship was found that was headed back to Squanto's old homeland. Can you imagine how excited he must have felt to be going back to his village after being gone for several years? But when Squanto finally made it back, he couldn't believe what he saw. There was no one, not a single person. The village was deserted. It looked as if no one had been there for a long time. Some friendly Indians from a nearby tribe told Squanto the sad truth. His whole village, including all of his family, had died from a terrible sickness. These friendly Indians let Squanto live with them so that he would not be all alone. While Squanto was living with this tribe, some people came from England across the Atlantic Ocean. They were the Pilgrims who came on the Mayflower. They came to America to be able to live and worship as they believed the Bible says to. The Pilgrims settled in the very land where Squanto had lived as a boy. It was a bitter cold winter and many died, but in the springtime, an Indian named Samoset came to the Pilgrims' village and got to know them. Samoset could see that the Pilgrims were struggling to survive. He got the wonderful idea to go get Squanto and introduce him to the Pilgrims who were living on his old homeland. Squanto learned that the Pilgrims had suffered greatly just as he had. Squanto felt sorry for them and decided to stay with them and help them. He helped them hunt in the woods the way he had done as a boy. He taught them how to set traps for fish and to dig for clams. He showed them how to catch eel and lobster. He pointed out which herbs and wild berries were safe to eat. Squanto also taught the Pilgrims the best way to plant corn. He told them to wait in the spring until the leaves on the oak trees were the size of mouse ears. Then they had to put 2 to 3 small fish into each hole, along with 3 to 4 kernels of corn. The fish would fertilize the corn. Thanks to Squanto, the Pilgrims had a good harvest in 1621. They were so thankful to have brought in enough food to carry them through their second winter in America. They decided to have a feast to thank God for the harvest and for their dear friend Squanto. The Pilgrims invited the neighboring Indians, and they had a 2-day feast, the first Thanksgiving in November 1621. The governor of the Pilgrims, William Bradford, realized that Squanto's life was like the life of Joseph in Genesis, the first book of the Bible. Joseph